Good morning, Year 3, and welcome to today's English lesson. Today is the 1st of February, so it's really exciting. We've entered a new month. We are in the month of February, and we are going to learn how to identify the first person, okay? So, new learning for this new month. We're going to talk about what the first person is, and we're going to learn how to use it, okay? Hope you all had a lovely weekend. Hope you are ready to continue working on writing a recount. All right. So our starter focus on a Monday is spelling, and I would like you to correct the spelling of the following words. Now, these are some of the words that you might have encountered from last week's spelling unit, and I'd like to take this chance to see if you remember the spelling of them. So we've got mistake, mislead, misuse, misread or misread, and misspell. Okay. Remember the prefix miss? I know this week we're focusing on a different one, so make sure you do watch the spelling videos as well, okay, because we've got a different prefix, but this is last week's prefix beginning with the the group of letters miss. So take some time, correct those spelling mistakes, okay, which is the first word, mistake. When you are ready, we'll move on to our success criteria. So how are we going to be able to identify the first person today? Well, first you've got to know what first person is. Then you've got to remember your personal pronouns. Then you should be able to find them in a sentence. And finally, can you use the first person? Okay, so if you can do all these steps, you will be able to be successful in learning how to identify the first person today. Okay, now let's start with point of view. Okay, what do I mean by point of view? Well, stories and recounts and any type of writing can be told from different viewpoints. Okay, I see things differently to you. You view things differently to your parents view things differently to their friends. Okay, everyone sees things differently. So it's your point of view is how you view things. Okay, and everyone has a different point of view. Everyone sees things differently. Okay, now we are going to be talking about first, second, or third person. So let me highlight those keywords. So first, second, or third person. Here's an example of sentences that you might see. Okay, I was going to the fun fair today. I was so excited. Here we're focusing on I. Okay, I. Have you ever wondered what life would be like as a superhero? In this sentence, they're directing the question at you. Okay, they're talking about you this time. Here we're talking about I. Here we're talking about you. And over here, we're not talking about I or you. We're talking about some people completely different. We're talking about boys. The boys ran from the house screaming. Riley was terrified. So, that doesn't show up. Let's try green. Yeah, that shows up a bit better. Okay, the boys and Riley. So it's not I, it's not you, it's completely different people. Okay, Riley was terrified. So let's move on to seeing what first, second, and third person is. So if writing a story in the first person, you have to write as if you are the character in there. Okay, you describe how you are feeling, what you are doing. You really got to put yourself in the story, and you use the pronoun I. For example, last year, I went to Spain with my family. I loved it. So it's all talking about me. Okay. I am putting myself in the story. I'm talking about me. Okay. So put yourself in the story, talk about yourself, and use the pronoun I. Last week, I only told you two pronouns. I told you I and me. However, we've got over here other pronouns that you use in the first person. Okay, if I go back to my steps of success, that's talking about the personal pronouns. So all of these are your personal pronouns. My, me, mine, we, our, ours, and us. Anything that includes you is a personal pronoun. So my thing, me, mine, we, our. Okay, it all includes myself. Okay, and that is what we call the first person. I know it can be a little bit confusing. So I'm talking about myself, but you also have to think about yourself. Okay, put yourself in the story. Okay, second person. If writing in the second person, you are talking to the reader. You were talking to you. You were talking to the reader. Okay. You use the pronoun you. Okay. For example, before you begin, make sure you have all of the tools listed. Okay? Other pronouns could be your and yours. Okay? It could be something like, imagine you are walking down a quiet corridor. Imagine you are in the forest. You are feeling scared. Okay? We use the second person a lot in nonfiction as well as in fiction. Now, the most common one we'll see is the third person. We're writing about other people. We use character names, and we also use pronouns such as he, she, and they. Okay, now let's go back over here. Okay, this one would be third person. We're talking about other characters. We're talking about boys. Okay, second person, because we're talking about the reader, you, and then first person, because we're talking about ourselves. Okay, so an example of third person, Michelle sped off at top speed and was soon in first place. She couldn't believe that she was going to win. It's not I, it's Michelle. Okay, it's not I couldn't believe I was going to win. She couldn't believe. Okay, it's all about Michelle. Now, other pronouns you could use, her or hers, his or theirs. Okay, remember, talking about other people is third person. All right? Now, let's have a go at doing some practice. Let's have a practice. Let's decide if the following sentence are first, second, or third person. Remember, if it's in the first person, we're talking about I. We're talking about ourselves. I, me, my, us, we, ours. Second person, we're talking to the reader. We're saying you. Okay? You as the reader. And finally, third person, other characters. That's going to take a while to write like that. So other people, other characters. Okay, let's read through the sentences now. Sophie was going to the cinema to meet her friends. Let's have a think. Is it talking about I? No. Are you addressing the reader? Are you saying you are going to the cinema? Or are we talking about other people? Well, we're talking about Sophie and her friends. We're talking about other people. So this would have to be third person. Okay. I couldn't believe what I was seeing. It was incredible. Now, it's becoming a bit personal. I couldn't believe it. Okay. Have you got it? Should be first person. Where shall we go now? Wondered Tim and Holly as they sat in their car. Okay. It's talking about Tim and Holly. They were sitting in their car. Okay. It should be third person. Okay. Next, do you believe in ghosts? Well, after reading the story, you will. So it's talking to the reader. It's addressing the reader. It's saying you. What person is it? What point of view is it? Well, it's the second point of view. It's the second person. As I walked into my new school, my stomach churned and my hands began to shake. Okay, talking a lot about myself over here. Let me get that highlighter out. One of our steps to success was to look at all those personal pronouns. So I, my, all about me. So it is first person. And finally, asking the reader, are you an early bird or are you a night owl? Okay, should be second person. Okay, so now that you have done that, you have hopefully been able to identify the personal pronouns. You've hopefully been able to identify first, second, and third point of view. And now you can either go on Teams to do your activity, or you can write it down on a piece of paper. Okay, so you will have about 6 questions. So number 1, okay, you have to tell me, is it first, second, or third person? So either do this on Teams or do it on a piece of paper. Okay. I was so happy when I received a present. Is it first, second, or third person? Write it down. Number 2, she did not like going to school. Okay. Number 3, You look really worried. You look really worried. First, second, or third person. You look really worried. Number 4, you are a superstar. First, second, or third person. You are a superstar. Question 5, I ran as fast as I could all the way home. I ran as fast as I could all the way home. Is it first, second, or third person? Okay. And finally, number 6, create 5 sentences of your own using the first person only. So go back in the video, go back to the slide where it shows you all those personal pronouns using I, using me, using we, okay? And create me 5 sentences of your own using the first person. Now, please do not worry if it marks something wrong. I will always go over it and I will review it and I will add on the extra points that you deserve. Okay, so do not worry if you get a low score. Okay, as long as you are just very clear on what first, second, and third person is. Okay, I think question 6, I will go back and mark it. I will add your points for you. But as always, if you're not doing it on Teams, write it down, take a picture and send it to us via email. Okay, now one last thing before I go, guys. We did introduce last week a new teacher who will be working with me. His name is Mr. Harris, and he will be doing your vocabulary and your SPAG lessons this week. Okay, so if you do hear from Mr. Harris, he is doing your vocabulary and your SPAG lessons this week. Okay, so do not worry if you hear a different voice doing your lessons. It is someone that is working with me and Miss Davis, and he will be teaching you some of your lessons. Okay, so hopefully this was clear. Remember, always go back in the video, rewatch something, take your time with it. And the most important thing is that you try your best. All right, well done, year 3. Thank you for joining your first English lesson this week. Hope you enjoy the rest of your lessons and have a great Monday.